There's nothing more exhausting than having a toxic person in your life, someone who drains your energy, chips away at your confidence, and leaves you questioning your worth. If you have someone close to you that no matter what you do, they don't seem to like you and you're always walking on eggshells around them, there's a great chance that such a person is toxic. Toxicity at its core is any behavior that creates an unhealthy dynamic in a relationship where one person benefits at the expense of the other's happiness and peace. But sometimes toxicity isn't loud or obvious. It can be subtle, disguised as everyday interactions or actions that seem normal, but slowly erode your mental and emotional well-being. Toxic people don't just hurt you with their words or actions. They manipulate, control, and undermine you in ways that often feel invisible but leave a lasting impact. The effects of having a toxic person in your life go far beyond emotional pain. You might notice yourself withdrawing from others, struggling to focus on your goals, or even dealing with physical symptoms like fatigue and anxiety. They can isolate you, make you question your worth, and leave you feeling stuck in an endless cycle of negativity. The truth is, many of these toxic behaviors go unchallenged because they often feel insignificant, so you overlook them or make excuses. You may brush them off by thinking, "That's just how they are." Blame yourself for the way they treat you, or even convince yourself it's not that bad until it's already taken a toll on your mental and emotional well-being. In this video, I'm going to show you 10 warning signs that someone close to you is secretly toxic. These signs aren't always obvious, and chances are you've experienced at least one of them or tolerated it for far too long. Stick around to the end, because recognizing these signs could be the first step toward reclaiming your peace and letting go of unhealthy relationships. Let's get started. Number 1, they drain your energy. If there's someone in your life who constantly makes you feel drained when you spend time with them, it's a clear indication that they are toxic. After spending time with a toxic person, you'll feel emotionally or mentally exhausted instead of happy, and that feeling isn't just a coincidence. Toxic people have a way of dominating conversations with negativity, complaints, or endless drama that leaves you feeling emotionally drained. They often focus solely on themselves, what's going wrong in their life, and what's bothering them. They pull you into their negativity or drama, and you end up feeling worn out, even though all you did was listen. Think about the last time you hung out with someone who left you feeling this way. Maybe you meet a friend for coffee, hoping to catch up, but the whole time they talk about how bad everything in their life is. "Work is horrible," they say. "I'm always so unlucky." They just keep complaining. After a while, all their negativity will rub off on you, and you'll feel drained. In healthy relationships, time spent together should make you feel good and filled with positive energy, but when someone is toxic, it's the opposite. This emotional drain doesn't always happen right away, but over time, you may start to notice that these interactions are becoming more frequent, and you find yourself dreading them because you know how exhausted you'll feel afterward. If you recognize this pattern, it's a clear sign that something is wrong and you need to protect your well-being. You deserve to be around people who lift you and make you feel refreshed, not drained. It's okay to step back from toxic relationships to preserve your mental health. Number 2, they constantly criticize you. Constant criticism is one of the most exhausting traits of a toxic person. No matter what you do, it feels like it's never good enough. They always seem to have something negative to say, whether it's about your appearance, your work, your decisions, or even your personality. Instead of offering encouragement or support, they focus on pointing out your flaws or mistakes, making you feel inadequate or unworthy. For instance, imagine you've worked hard on a project or task, and when you share it with them, the first thing they say is, "This could have been done better," or "Why didn't you think of this?" Instead of acknowledging the effort you put in or the progress you've made, they only highlight what's wrong, making you feel like you can never succeed in their eyes. This constant criticism chips away at your confidence over time. You might start doubting yourself, second-guessing your choices, or feeling like nothing you do can ever live up to their expectations. Their words often leave you feeling demoralized, as if you're walking on eggshells, trying to avoid making mistakes because you know they'll be quick to point them out. A toxic person might not only criticize you to your face, but also do it behind your back, speaking negatively about you to others. They often act like they know better or are in a position to judge, but this behavior is simply a way to make you feel small and inferior, like you're not good enough, while they try to maintain superiority in the relationship. If you notice this pattern of negativity, it's a clear sign of toxicity, and it's important to distance yourself from such energy to protect your mental and emotional well-being. Number 3, they are manipulative. Toxic people have a pattern of manipulation, and they often use it to control situations to their advantage. They know exactly how to make you doubt yourself or feel guilty for things you didn't even do. This might show up in the form of gaslighting, where they make you question your reality, telling you things like, "That never happened," or "You're overreacting," even when you know it's the truth. Another tactic they use is guilt tripping, where they try to make you feel bad for not doing something they want, even if it's not your responsibility. It's like they twist the situation so that you feel like you owe them, even when you don't. They might say, "I've always been there for you. Why can't you do this one thing for me?" This manipulation leaves you constantly second-guessing yourself, wondering if you're doing the right thing or if you're just being selfish. Sometimes they'll withhold affection or kindness as a form of punishment. If they don't get what they want, they shut down emotionally or become cold, making you feel like you've done something wrong. They thrive on keeping you off balance, so you're always trying to figure out what they need to feel okay again. You might feel confused, unsure of where you stand with them, and as though you're walking on eggshells to avoid their emotional outbursts. In the long run, this constant manipulation wears you down. It's exhausting trying to navigate a relationship where you can never feel completely secure or at ease. You find yourself questioning everything you do around them, not because it's your fault, but because they've twisted your perception of reality. This pattern of manipulation is a major sign of toxicity, and it's important to recognize it before it erodes your self-confidence and sense of stability. Number 4, jealousy or controlling behavior. Toxic people often display jealousy or controlling behavior, making it difficult for you to have healthy, balanced relationships with others. They can become overly possessive, constantly questioning where you've been, who you've been with, or why you're spending time with someone else. This might start with small comments like, "Why do you always hang out with them?" or "I thought we were supposed to do things together." But over time, it can become more controlling, with them trying to dictate who you can and can't spend time with. This behavior usually stems from insecurity or a need to feel in control. They may act jealous whenever you have other friendships or activities that don't involve them, making you feel guilty for wanting space or time away from them. They might even try to isolate you from people who are important to you, subtly or directly convincing you that those relationships are a threat to your connection with them. For example, imagine you make plans with a close friend or family member, and suddenly the toxic person becomes upset or makes passive-aggressive comments. "I guess I'll just be alone then," they might say, or "I thought you'd be spending the day with me." They're trying to make you feel guilty, questioning your loyalty, and pushing you to cancel your plans. In extreme cases, they might try to control every aspect of your life, from who you talk to, where you go, and even what you wear. This controlling behavior can feel suffocating, as if you no longer have the freedom to make your own choices. This jealousy and controlling behavior are toxic because they create an environment where you feel trapped, constantly second-guessing yourself and your relationships. You deserve to have the freedom to connect with others without feeling guilty or pressured. Recognizing this behavior early is important, so you can set clear boundaries and protect your independence. Number 5. They subtly undermine you. Toxic people often subtly undermine you, and it can be hard to notice at first because it's disguised as just being honest or playful teasing. They might give you backhanded compliments like, "You did great for someone like you," or say something that sounds nice on the surface but carries an underlying insult. For example, "That's pretty good, considering how little experience you have," or "Wow, I didn't know you could pull that off." These remarks may seem harmless, but they're meant to make you feel small, less than, or inadequate. This constant undermining chips away at your self-esteem, leaving you questioning your worth and abilities, especially when it happens repeatedly. Toxic people often prefer passive-aggressive behavior over direct confrontation. Instead of being upfront with their feelings or concerns, they hide behind sarcasm, backhanded compliments, or subtle digs. For example, they might say something like, "I wish I had the freedom to do whatever I wanted, like you," with an undertone of jealousy or resentment. It's meant to make you feel uncomfortable or guilty, but in a way that seems indirect enough to dismiss if you call them out. This passive-aggressive behavior can create confusion because you're left trying to figure out if they were joking or if they meant what they said. Over time, you start to wonder if you're being too sensitive when really they're just being toxic. Recognizing this behavior is crucial because it's not always easy to see the damage it does right away. But it's important to note that healthy relationships build you up, not tear you down, even in the smallest ways. If you notice this pattern of undermining or passive-aggressive remarks, it's a red flag that the person may be toxic and doesn't have your best interests at heart. Number 6. They always play the victim. A toxic person is always the victim, no matter what the situation is. They have a way of twisting everything around so that they're the ones who are wronged, even when it's clear that they're the ones at fault. For example, if you try to express how something they did made you feel hurt or upset, they won't acknowledge their actions. Instead, they'll deflect, turning the conversation back on you. "Well, if you hadn't done this, I wouldn't have reacted that way," they might say, shifting the blame onto you instead of taking responsibility for their behavior. This constant victim mentality is a way for them to avoid any accountability for their actions. No matter how clear the situation, they find a way to make themselves seem innocent or misunderstood. If you ever try to hold them accountable, they'll guilt-trip you, making you feel like you're the one doing something wrong just by pointing out the truth. They might say things like, "I can't believe you're attacking me when I've always been there for you," or "I don't deserve this kind of treatment." These statements make you feel like the bad guy, even though you're simply expressing your feelings. The problem with this is that they never truly take responsibility for their actions. They never admit when they're wrong. Instead, they shift the blame, making everyone around them feel like they're walking on eggshells, trying not to upset them or trigger their victimhood. It's exhausting. This behavior often keeps you in a cycle where you're always trying to accommodate their feelings or fix things, even when they've done something wrong. But what they're doing is controlling the narrative, ensuring that they remain the center of attention and everyone else becomes the villain in their story. If you find yourself constantly defending your actions or feeling like you're the one at fault for everything, it's a clear sign of a toxic person who's playing the victim. Healthy relationships involve mutual responsibility, where both people can own their mistakes. If someone is always playing the victim, It's a huge red flag that they are avoiding responsibility and manipulating the situation to suit their needs. Number 7. They don't respect boundaries. Toxic people don't respect boundaries, and this can manifest in various ways. When you set limits, whether it's needing some alone time, not wanting to talk about a particular subject, or saying no to a request, they either ignore them or push right past them. They don't take your words seriously, making you feel like your needs and comfort don't matter. For example, you might say, "I'm not in the mood to talk about work right now," but they continue to bring it up, disregarding your wishes. Or you might ask for some personal space, but they constantly call or show up uninvited, demanding your time and attention. This lack of respect for your boundaries shows that they prioritize their own needs above yours, and it can be incredibly draining. Toxic individuals may also guilt-trip you into doing things you're uncomfortable with. They might say, "I'm really counting on you for this," or "I thought you cared about me, so why won't you help?" These comments are designed to make you feel guilty for asserting your boundaries. Instead of respecting your limits, they push you into uncomfortable situations, manipulating you into doing what they want, even when it's at your expense. This constant disregard for your boundaries can lead to feelings of frustration, resentment, and powerlessness. In healthy relationships, boundaries are respected and understood, and both people feel comfortable expressing their needs. But with a toxic person, your boundaries are seen as an obstacle to their desires, and they'll do whatever it takes to get what they want, regardless of how it makes you feel. If you find that someone constantly ignores or disrespects your boundaries, it's a clear sign of toxicity. Number 8. They make you question your worth. Toxic people have a knack for undermining your confidence, often making you question your worth and abilities. They do this through constant negativity, belittling your achievements, or dismissing your ideas. When you share something you're proud of, instead of celebrating with you, they might downplay it, saying things like, "That's nice, but so-and-so did it better," or "It's not that impressive." Imagine you've worked hard to reach a personal goal, whether it's a career milestone, a fitness achievement, or a personal accomplishment. Instead of being proud of you, they criticize or belittle it, leaving you feeling deflated and questioning if it was as good as you thought. This can make you feel like your efforts are never enough and that nothing you do will ever meet their standards. In more subtle ways, they might also dismiss your ideas, making you feel as though your thoughts or opinions don't matter. If you suggest something, they may respond with, "That's a dumb idea," or "I'm not sure that will work," even if they haven't fully listened or considered your perspective. Over time, this constant dismissal can leave you feeling unheard, invisible, or as if your ideas are unworthy of attention. Toxic people often compare you to others too, whether it's friends, co-workers, or even strangers. They might say, "Why can't you be more like so-and-so?" Or, "She always knows how to do it right." These comparisons can be incredibly damaging, leaving you feeling inferior and as though you're always falling short of someone else's expectations. When this happens repeatedly, your self-esteem takes a hit. You start to doubt your value, wondering if you're good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. You may feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, afraid to make a mistake or express yourself for fear of their criticism. In a healthy relationship, you should feel supported and uplifted, not like you have to constantly prove your worth. If someone is constantly making you feel inadequate, it's a sign of toxicity. Protecting your mental and emotional health means recognizing this behavior and taking steps to distance yourself from it. Your worth should never be dictated by someone else's attempt to make you feel small. Number 9. They stir up conflict. Toxic people thrive on drama and chaos, often creating unnecessary conflict wherever they go. They have a way of stirring the pot, making situations more stressful or complicated than they need to be. Whether it's gossiping about others, starting arguments, or escalating minor issues, they seem to feed off the tension they create. Toxic individuals often instigate drama by pitting people against each other, either by sharing secrets, exaggerating stories, or spreading rumors. They enjoy watching the chaos unfold, sometimes even sitting back and letting others fight while they remain passive, but ultimately, they're the ones who caused it all. If you notice a constant pattern of conflict or tension surrounding them, it's a clear sign they may be the source of the chaos. They may also thrive on emotional upheaval, feeding off of the confusion or discomfort that others feel. For them, drama can feel like a form of validation, as it brings attention to them and keeps the focus on their needs or reactions. Healthy people avoid unnecessary conflict and try to resolve disagreements calmly and respectfully. However, toxic people are drawn to chaos, and their need for drama can be emotionally draining for those around them. If you constantly find yourself caught in arguments or feeling unsettled after interacting with someone, it's a red flag that they are toxic. It's important to recognize this behavior and distance yourself from such a person to avoid being caught up in their drama. Number 10. They don't support you. One of the most painful signs of a toxic person is their lack of support. They rarely celebrate your successes, no matter how big or small, and they often seem uninterested in your needs or well-being. Instead, they make everything about themselves, leaving you feeling alone in the relationship. Imagine achieving something you've worked hard for, a promotion at work, a personal milestone, or a breakthrough in your goals. Instead of receiving congratulations or encouragement, the toxic person may brush it off or make it about their own experiences, leaving you feeling dismissed and unsupported. When you need them most, their true colors shine through. In times of difficulty or hardship, they're suddenly too busy or unavailable, leaving you feeling abandoned when you need a friend or a shoulder to lean on. You may try to reach out for support, whether it's for emotional comfort, practical help, or just someone to talk to, but they are nowhere to be found. However, the moment they need something from you, they expect you to drop everything and be there for them without hesitation. They don't consider how much you've been there for them before, or how emotionally drained you might feel from constantly being the one to give. They demand your time, energy, and resources, but when the tables are turned, they disappear. This lack of support can leave you feeling emotionally isolated and unappreciated. A healthy relationship is built on mutual care and support, where both people show up for each other, especially in difficult times. However, toxic people often withhold their support, offering it only when it serves their interests. If you find yourself in a relationship where your needs are dismissed or your support is conditional, it's a clear sign of toxicity. True friends and partners should be there for you in both the good and bad times, offering you support when needed. Staying around toxic people can slowly wear you down and affect your mental health. You may not even realize it, but their negativity, manipulation, and constant emotional turmoil can start to rub off on you till you start exhibiting toxic traits too. You wouldn't want that to happen. It's important to distance yourself from toxicity before it starts impacting you. Is there someone close to you that is currently exhibiting these signs, or have you dealt with toxicity sometime in your life? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, hit the subscribe button and share it with someone you feel needs to hear it. Remember, you don't have to tolerate toxic energy to keep the peace. Distance yourself from them. Choose yourself.